Welcome once again. I'm Charlie Greenberg, your host and moderator for Digital Business Demos. Thanks for joining us today as we continue to provide live business demos that focus on different digital transformation and platform strategies, and in particular demonstrate different components and products within Software AG's digital business platform. Today we're going to focus on one of Software AG's popular B2B integration solutions. It's called webMethods ActiveTransfer. It's our highly scalable managed file transfer solution designed to reliably deliver large volumes of flat file exchanges. And in just a moment, I'll be joined by Senior Systems Engineer Sundar Yelampalli, who will provide today's live demo, a demo which will also include a couple of use cases for ActiveTransfer agents, or what we sometimes like to call File-Bots. And today's presentation and live demo is brought to you by Software AG. As you may know, Software AG is a customer-centric leader in many innovative and digital technology categories. Additionally, we have more than 4,300 employees, $1 billion in annual revenue, and we can cite over 70% of the Global 1,000 as customers. And those customers are including over 2 million developers at leading organizations who have adopted Software AG products to innovate solutions and build applications cross-industry, cross-private and public sectors, and who rely on Software AG to help complete their journeys as digital enterprises through the end-to-end capabilities of the digital business platform. Now, before we get to our ActiveTransfer demo, I'd like to tie together our B2B capabilities with what has emerged as a leading-edge B2B integration strategy. Many of you know our webMethods trading network solution, which in fact is the very first B2B gateway in the industry. It's been around and evolving for 20 years. It's being used by well over 1,700 customers, and Trading Networks is also the platform of choice for numerous exchanges, e-market consortiums, partners, and actually, believe it or not, at least 2 of our major competitors. And all those mentioned use Software AG's B2B platform to power their own B2B solutions. And of course, our own customers are using webMethods B2B integration to power and drive their own business objectives, whether that's a holistic enterprise-wide EDI platform devoted to maximizing supply chain and logistics efficiency, or a more point solution guaranteeing the speedy delivery of file exchanges through managed file transfer across partners, customers, suppliers, and vendors. So we position Software AG's B2B platform by singling out 4 core solutions. We've already mentioned Trading Networks, which provides a centralized management and super quick onboarding for any partners, all accomplished through a secure single B2B gateway. But there's also our focus today, which is ActiveTransfer, a very feature-rich managed file transfer application, which is deployable on the same B2B gateway, so if you so should choose, for direct integration with Trading Networks. The same kind of integration applies to our EDI support for e-standards and transport protocols, which in addition to supporting all major EDI and XML-based standards, has a comprehensive library of industry-based standards, including healthcare, financial services, banking, as well as a complete support for transmission standards. And while Trading Networks and ActiveTransfer provide comprehensive tracking, alerts, and monitoring out of the box, we also provide an additional layer of assurance through the real-time end-to-end tracking of KPIs and SLAs provided by Optimize for B2B. We recently had the opportunity to once again validate this platform strategy, and that was when Forrester Research reached out to Software AG to participate in their first wave ever for operational intelligence for B2B integration. And if you've not seen the results, here's the wave. It was published this past Q1 with Software AG's B2B integration platform cited as a leader. Now, if you look to the left, you can see the suite of capabilities we presented and demoed to Forrester, including 2 additional solutions you didn't see on the previous slide. There's Match Zone for dashboarding, but also there's Zementis, which is Software AG's AI solution for machine learning, and that's in addition to the core B2B platform, was looked upon quite favorably by the Forrester analyst. So, regarding MFT, let's take a running jump now from attaching and sharing corporate flat files through email to the idea of a highly scalable corporate-wide managed file transfer solution. So just to build up here, we know corporate email is not a recommended or very reliable solution strategically for holistically distributing business files. An alternate solution is sometimes an FTP wall or file transfer protocol solution, and this is turned to often to help support distributing very large files. How reliable is it? Well, it depends on the solution, but typically, like email, you're still dependent on the recipients to alert you to receipt and delivery problems, and it's also not very secure. So secure FTP, to some degree, addresses security, but still leaves you with a fairly low voltage file transfer protocol solution. MFT now is the new norm. If you're looking to actually develop a systematic corporate file sharing strategy, you're going to need a viable MFT solution, which would provide, and I'll just mention a few items because Sundar is going to get very granular about this himself, but basic scripting and API, net guaranteed file delivery, event-driven transactions, detailed auditing, reports, alerts, dashboards, delivery, acceleration, and also the ability to deliver files or process files of any size. And then there's Enterprise MFT, and here the major difference is about the size of the data payload, the expansion of systemized processing, scalability, back-end integration, and in a word, file integration. Meaning, in addition to application, system, and data integration, we're having customers talk about the ability to have such robust file interchange capabilities between units and partners that it's been scaled up to a true B2B integration tool. It just happens to be called MFT, and in our case, as already mentioned, ActiveTransfer. So please allow me to just go on a little bit longer and drill down on one particular webMethods use case. This is a Fortune 500 medical technology company where file integration is a thing, and it's not to say that they don't deploy application system or even data integration, but they found a very good reason to deploy file integration. And by the way, this is how they identify their particular MFT use case. Why? Because a company like this with hundreds of partners or third-party interfaces need both cloud and on-premises connectivity for their multiple HR applications, demographic data, time tracking, benefits, logistics, communications between carrier companies, exchanging shipping instructions, material master data, shipment and receipt notices, banking applications, including payments, reconciliation, electronic statements, positive pay. I can keep going on, data warehousing, reports, and also manufacturing. So clearly, as you might conclude, this has produced quite a volume of inbound and outbound file exchange, which has been supported through ActiveTransfer's scalability and system integration through webMethods, which supports over 500 interfaces. And given the amount of external file exchange going on, this organization adopted the gateway, which provides DMZ security, reverse invoke, or the ability to close the firewall as an outbound is coming in, stopping inbound or malicious inbound, and that's done through ActiveTransfer Gateway. So I think it's about time to pass the baton over to Sundar. The main points we want to make in terms of Enterprise MFT is about the gateway, the security that the gateway provides, the ability to understand the life cycle of, and it sounds like a big word for just shooting a file out, but yes, that's important when you scale it up and make it such an important part of the business. So with that, as usual, we do a Q&A session, and I would appreciate very much if everyone would participate in that, if possible. And that will come at the end of this presentation. But now it is my pleasure to pass the ball and the presentation over to Sundar Yelampalli. Sundar, would you take it, please?
Yes. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you all for joining the webinar. So as Charlie was clearly alluding, the enterprise transformation actually happened all the way from the insecure method of transforming, sending emails, all the way to the secured way of sending files from one location to other location, both internally or externally to your partners. Right? Software AG webMethods platform provides a single MFT gateway which will provide complete security wrapped around with your file transfers, and also providing a detailed analysis and reporting of where your file is, what exactly you want to do with your file. And if you want to have some additional processing on top of the file data as well, Software AG provides you that kind of robust capabilities on top of the existing files. And this scales across organizations to send files both internally and externally. And that said, you know, the most common thing across the industries were, you know, okay, do you support all my file protocols? Yes, Software AG solution provides supports for all common file transfer protocols, along with the security and encryption of the file all the way throughout, and providing one single centralized ability to manage and monitor all the file transfer capabilities. And we have been talking to many of our customers and how do we want to evolve these capabilities as well. And the recent advancement within the file transfer capabilities also made us engage into many discussions with the customers, and where we brought in something called an agent-based concepts, and which you will be seeing a kind of demo today that will give you an ability, that will give you some understanding of how this particular technology is evolving within the industry. And the technical drivers for any enterprise or any organization to adopt file transfers is security and reliability, and supporting for all open standards for the file transfers and integrating with existing tools. These are the predominant reasons to actually adopt or embrace any kind of file transfer technologies within the organizations. And they were good old technologies which will do mainframe integrations, where they will be doing chunking, they will be doing all the capabilities as well, all the other capabilities of spawning the data across multiple recipients and everything. So Software AG MFT has all the capabilities now built in, starting from integrating all the way to the mainframe, getting the data and securing the data and sending across to any recipient, to whomever you want, both internally and externally. And also, because the capability is directly integrated into trading networks, you will be able to process the data files and also integrate with any other IT infrastructure, so you can do multiple publishes and multiple subscribing as well. So the organizations doesn't really want to say, you know, they don't really want to do file transfers as in the real time. Like, you know, the real time should be separated from the batch, which may take a lot of their enterprise bandwidth, and also some resources like IT resources to support this. So they want to do some scheduling for larger file transfers. With the capabilities that what we have, the scheduling and event-based triggering on top of the capabilities that what we have, both at the agent level and at the server level, will give you capability to have an autonomous file transfer capability built into your organization. This also includes auditing and reporting, what happened, where, which user actually sent the file at what time. So that level of detailed, granular way of visibly looking into your file is also possible with Software AG file transfer MFT. Right, and as we all know, webMethods is the core integration backbone which can integrate to any applications across the industry standards. We will be able to add this file transfer capability on top of it, which will give additional seamless integration, which is one of the key aspects of the organizations, where let's say customer doesn't even have any technology, all he has is a browser. So even those customers can be coming into your landscape where they will just upload a file, and you will be able to handle the file doing some post and pre-processing events. And that's it. The architecture that what is very important for the organizations to embrace, and this architecture that what I'm showing you for MFT is highly scalable, is vertically and horizontally scalable, is what I should say. And it will be receiving and sending files both from internal and external organizations without poking a hole into your firewall. And the ActiveTransfer web client is the one which will be able to receive files through the outer firewall and receiving into your load balancer. And we will be having a ActiveTransfer gateway sitting in the DMZ area, but will be having a connectivity back into the trusted zone. So the external partner wouldn't even know where exactly it is sitting. So that way your data and your presence will be secured. So there will be no any kind of DOS attacks, any kind of file-based attacks onto your system, so that way the data sent and the data received is more secure. And this can be spanned across, for highly available system, you will be able to cluster the instances, so there will be no loss of data, and we also provide the acceleration capability and also, the capabilities that where you will be able to restart where it left off. Let us say if something goes wrong and if something is down, when the systems actually come back up and restart itself, you will be able to start off where it left. So the core DMZ security is one of the key things for the larger enterprises and also the enterprises to handle more security for all its file transfers. We support broad protocol support across all the open protocols, both on the HTTPS layer and FTP layer as well. So FTP or SSL and HTTP or SSL is what we support, and also SFTP and SCP. And we also support Samba protocol. That's the addition that what it is there in the latest file transfer protocol, file transfer capability. And secure authentication has been a big challenge for all these kind of similar solutions that are there. PGP encryptions are one of the key things which are actually bundled as part of the solution itself. So that gives you capability to have the seamless interface to any of your secured and unsecured customers to send the data back and forth. And the key strengths for ActiveTransfer Software AG MFT solution is ability to handle large files. There's no limit on the upside limit. Like let us say 40, 50 gigs, 100 gigs files, we don't really have any problem. That's the checkpoint acceleration, checkpoint restart is the one which we have as part of that capability. So if you are actually sending and receiving files over the various countries, like, if there are so many of our retail customers actually receive files from China and other places, where if you are sending a 100 gig file, there may be an intermittent bandwidth issues. So you don't really have to restart from where it left off. So that's the key capability. Restart and resume streaming files through the DMZ is one of the key capabilities. And IP banning and denial of service to restrict the denial of service attacks and malicious content coming in through is one of the key aspects of the Software AG MFT solution. And moreover, providing the control access capabilities across the folders that are part of the users, user privileges, right? So let us say if a user has a specific folder, so what are all the capabilities, read, write, and the delegation access is what can be provided as part of the folder level access to the specific user. So that will give him more ability to provide handles on top of the content that he's wanting to share. And the software reverse proxy supports both the FTP and SFTP and HTTPS protocols completely. So in a typical deployment architecture, both to exploit the product strengths of what we have, in a typical deployment architecture, what we have is an ActiveTransfer server talking to trading networks internally. And trading network server will do the processing of the data and the content that comes in, and either it wants to persist the data or you want to do additional processing, it will be able to do it. So in a typical EDI world, you will be able to receive an EDI content. ActiveTransfer will receive the large EDI documents and send it over into trading networks. Trading networks will handle the EDI data. And the interface between ActiveTransfer server from the DMZ is the ActiveTransfer gateway. So that will provide, there is a seamless connection which will be secured always, and that will send the data into ActiveTransfer server through any HTTP or FTP or WebDAVs or SFTP or Stamper servers. So all your customers can actually directly interact through the web client or through any other FTP connections what they have, and send the data through ActiveTransfer gateway to ActiveTransfer server, and that will be in turn processed through trading networks. And so many customers may have questions saying, okay, we don't really want to go through the gateway. We have our own gateway. So we support third-party proxy gateways as well, and the third-party proxy gateways includes F5, Squig, and other third-party DMZ capabilities. And that will be both inbound and outbound we should be able to support. Right. And in the recent days, I mean, when we are actually interacting more with the customers, what we realized was customers wanting to have more of enhancements, and they wanted to go into an agent-based. So these are one of the this is one of the key functionality that what customers wants to see, a direct interaction in the retail industry. So a retail industry meaning we have seen a customer who has around 2,000 stores. And each store actually sends the data to the central location wherever it is. And the central location is to publish the data back into these 2,000 stores. That's what they have. Right? So this interaction actually happens to ActiveTransfer today, which doesn't really have any monitoring capability. And essentially, the large files that they distribute to the catalog items that will be that will have to be consumed every week are actually missing. They really don't have visibility into which stores received and what is the sale items, all these catalogs. This is one of the biggest grocery chain store that what we are talking about. And there is no visibility. There is no secured way of sending. There is no monitoring on how to do this. So based on their use case studies and everything, what we have done was, we came up with the agent-based concept within MFT. So that agent will provide multiple store servers, right? These are like lightweight integration platform, which will be pretty much 300 to 400 megs integration server sitting on their systems, and they will be acting as a file receivers and senders, and dropping into a specific location where we will be receiving the file through ActiveTransfer central server. And that central server will actually process the file at any point in time. So this can be done at a set schedule. So typically in the retail and finance industries, especially McGraw-Hill Publications wants to publish data to all its customers at a specific given time. Let us say 4 o'clock I have to send this file to all my mass distribution across to my customers. So those scenarios are cleanly addressed in this kind of agent-based concept. So every data package that what they want to will be pushed through a trigger based on event at a set schedule. And these servers, these agents can also act like go get some data from a specific FTP location and send it over to my ActiveTransfer server. So that should be also able to perform that action as well. So how this agent-based capabilities are part of the ActiveTransfer server are, all the agents that are part of the ActiveTransfer server are tied to the hip on the server itself. And when the instantiate, meaning the store agent instantiates a file transfer request, which you'll be seeing as a demo today, here the ActiveTransfer central server will receive the file and processes the file and distributes into wherever it wants to. And at the same time, if a server at the central location wants to send a file back into the stores, it can do a multiple publish or group it or zone by the zones or anything, whatever it wants to do. It can actually publish into a selected agents as well. It should be able to do. Right. The architecture during runtime. So the first things first, there is an agent startup and reads the connection from the files that what it has some configuration files that it should know what server they're actually all agents need to be associated to, and it connects to the ActiveTransfer servers based on the configuration files that what it has, and retrieves all the events that it has to process, meaning events, meaning what events has details about certain data, details about, okay, where do I have to get my file from, how many times I have to execute in a given minute, or how many times I have to execute in a given day, where do I have to send the file at the remote location to. All this information will be part of the configuration. And also which server they have to be reporting back to as part of the central location. So all this information will be in the configurations, and once that is there, it will be creating its own scheduler task that is driven by the integration server scheduler. And that will be deployed into the agent itself, and the agent will be performing all this or sending this data back and forth as part of metadata, right? So during this process, right, when there is any kind of, let us say there is a intermittent break or intermittent network issues, right, ActiveTransfer agent has the capability of holding the data and sending it back to the server whenever the server actually comes back up. Right. All this way through, the logging and debugging is one of the key aspects that what we have thought, is one of the key elements of introspection into what happens to the file, where it goes, and everything needs to be done. So all the details are captured at each and every level. You will be able to see that in the command, either through admin log UI or through Command Central, and we have more capabilities built into Command Central right now, where you will be able to monitor all the ActiveTransfer server, gateway, and agents as well. And agents-wise, if you want to publish, if you want to push any new configuration to your agents, ActiveTransfer server actually, you will be able to upload the configuration in ActiveTransfer server, and that configuration will be, part of the Command Central. You'll be saying which agents will be receiving these configurations. Let us say if you want to patch the agents with a new fix that is from your operating system level or, from your application level itself, you will be able to, send that directly through the server itself. You don't really want to go ahead and notify each individual agent, and the agent needs to be updating manually on their own, so you can do everything automatically, because the platform manager support is part of the ActiveTransfer agent itself, which is one of the key. And altogether, the corresponding events are also having a correlation in execution ID. So if there is a specific event that actually fails on an execution, those event execution IDs will be marked as not executed, and whenever the agent comes back up, those agents will be re-executed, so that way you will not be having any intermittent breakage or any intermittent issues to execute a specific scheduled task or an event on the agent itself. So Whenever there is an error happens, all the errors are reported back into ATS, and let's say typically it's the network interface. If there is a happy path, if everything goes good, all will be going good. But if there is any kind of network breakage, so those network issues will be recorded back into the AT log once the retrace are exhausted. Right. Typically, the agent setup and configuration, you will be installing agents either directly through the command central. The prerequisite here is if you want to do it directly to command central, we would like to have an SPM installed on the agent box itself on the remote. So if you have SPM installed, that's a software platform manager, if it is installed, you'll be able to directly push integration server, any fix that is there, all this data can be pushed directly into agents. And then you will be able to monitor those agents to see whether directly through the ActiveTransfer itself, whether they are enabled or whether they are disabled, or you can actually control them by saying whether you want to enable them, you want to disable them as well. And then you can also create groups for this particular agents that are actually registered on the ActiveTransfer server. And once you create groups, the grouping concept is more like a managing concept, right? So if I'm talking about 2,000 agents, how am I able to manage those 2,000 agents? So for that reason, you should be able to group them by a specific location or by a specific category. You can actually have multiple parameters around it to able to group them. And once you group them, you will be able to configure events that can be part of that to execute those events on this particular group as well. So that's all part of the advanced concepts that what we introduced through the new ActiveTransfer agent. So the system today, I mean, like the remote systems today, they wanted to send data, they wanted to copy files data from remote server and send it over to ActiveTransfer server. And then, if they want to keep the files or if they want to delete the files, if they want to verify checksum, and if they want to zip up the files, all this information is actually built into this logic that what is the part of the pre-processing and post-processing that is part of the agent group itself. So you can actually create an event which can define all these actions, and those actions can be deployed as a template which will be part of all the agent groups that will facilitate to execute these particular necessary actions, right? So once this is an event execution time frame, so once the scheduled task is triggered on the integration server, so it is the continuation to where exactly we left during the runtime. Once the scheduled task is triggered, the scheduled task will take the ActiveTransfer server data and executes an action on MFT agent and sends it back to file transfers, and related actions are executed as part of it. Okay, and this is all the 360-degree view of how ActiveTransfer agent performs its integration to ActiveTransfer server itself. Okay. So I just wanted to show you guys like two demo scenarios, two demo scenarios. One is uploading a file, and the one is moving a file from one location to other location within Trading Networks, how it works. And also on the other scenario, I want to show you an agent, how we can get the file from one VM without having any connection to it except for registering that agent, registering that VM as an agent on the ActiveTransfer server itself. I should be able to get the file from remote location and send it and handle it in any way that I want to. So these are the two demos that I wanted to show. The first demo is receive file once I upload the file into a specific location and process the file. And the second location is process and deliver the file from one location to other location. So that's one scenario which indulges or involves TN as a service. And the second scenario with agent would be I would like to get the file from a specific folder location which is on the agent, and take that file, process the file, and send it in, persist the file into a local directory system by changing the name. That's one scenario. And the second scenario is copying files to the agent directly. Okay. and transmit to all the stores. I mean, in this case, I actually considered to take this as a retail specific use case that will give more like an understanding is what I assumed. And if you have any questions later on, you can ask me on how it works for other business verticals as well. Okay. That's it. I just wanted to start off going to the demo. Right. So can you all see my screen? Charlie, can you?
You're good to go.
So this is so on the new MWS layout, once you install agents, you'll be able to see something called agent management on top of the existing MFT. So agent management will have agents, agent groups, and agent events. Okay, and the existing MFT will have, so under the integration, you'll be having managed file transfer, server management. All these old links will stay the same. The new links will be agent management, agent groups, and agent events. In this case, I want to show you 2 use cases, and rather 4 use cases is what I actually wanted to bring it to you. So agent events. One second. I created 2 agent events. One is push agents to East Coast and get from agents to East Coast. So let us go through the exercise of how exactly did I create and what exactly is there too. So all I did was just go click on add and name the event and make it active. And is this event publishable for all the agents, or is it to a specific group of agents? So I can pick any of these 2. In this case, because my agents are limited, I just pick to publish into all agents, right? And the scheduling-wise, I can provide a fixed interval or run anytime whenever I want to. And all this kind of flexibility is part that is inherited from the integration platform, right? So in this case, I wanted to publish it from every 5 minutes. I wanted to be doing its action every 5 minutes. And what is the destination? What is the copy files from where to where? So copy files from ActiveTransfer server to a remote agent. Okay, the remote agent location is actually specified over here. So I have 3 VMs. One is my ActiveTransfer server, the other one is gateway, the other one is my agent itself. So I mean, I should have done a better job of renaming these particular VMs to its own names. I apologize for that, but sincerely, this is how you actually configure your agents. And once you do that, this particular schedule event on the agent will be active and will be pushed into agent, and automatically the agent will be knowing to know where to get the file from and how to get the file from. And the typical event itself, that's what the actual server management event, that's what event management for the existing ActiveTransfer server will still remain the same. In this case, what we have is process document. So process document is an event that we actually created to handle TN data. That's use case 1. So once the data comes in, okay, through any process, through any way, any means, the data comes in, executing a TN service is what actually created, and that TN service will need to know the TN params, and it also needs to know, it needs to move the file from one location to other location. And the file path is what I have mentioned. Okay, and then rename the file from one file type to other file type, and in this particular format is what I said, and just wait for 2 seconds to make sure that the file is written. And if the file is not available, give up after 60 seconds is what it is, and then take the file and send it over. So this is the configuration that what I have to do on top of my event management within my MFT MWS. Once I do that, all these configurations will be readily available and they will be able to be deployed, right? And the core concept of the agent, I just wanted to touch base with you guys a little bit more. So how is an agent defined? An agent is the one which will be just a lightweight integration server where you will be able to configure, or you will be able to install that and then come into your agent within your commands and within your MWS and register this agent. And all you just do is come here and add an agent, and you'll be able to add a new one, right? And the synchronize is the one which will give you a capability to synchronize all the agents into the same configurations. So let us say in the morning, this synchronization can be a scheduled task, and you will be able to fetch the information directly from the command central wherever it is, or you can actually run this as a scheduled event on the command central itself, saying synchronize the data to all the agents every day morning at 2 a.m. or so. So that way everybody will be synchronizing with all the files and what exactly I have and what exactly they have should be synchronized. So that's the kind of concept. And then each one will have a node ID. Each agent will have a node ID so that you will be able to keep the monitoring. So if that node ID is actually down, you'll be able to cluster or send data across different node ID as well. All this information will be part of the database, and you'll be able to cluster them as well. And then creating groups. So once you create all the agents that you have, right, you also wanted to create agent groups. So in this case, what we did was we have one agent that is available. So what we did was we went ahead and added that agent into the East Coast agent group. And once we added agent group, what we have now is agent events. So this is the typical hierarchy on how you configure your agents and to make it more into the runtime. Okay. And once you do that, your agents will be readily, you may have also seen the agent capabilities here. Agent is, the status of the existing agent is enabled, so making sure that the enabled agents will be the active agents to receive all the scheduled tasks and the event management. So what we have done was we have actually created 2 tasks on the agents. To get the file from a specific MFT location, okay, to East Coast stores and from East Coast stores. So I have created an execution time, and that execution time will be this, right? The next execution time will be at 5:45 and 21 seconds. So what happens to the event? So you will be able to see that in the file transfer agent itself. I'll be able to show you all the agent logs. Okay. And you'll be able to see the data coming in through at a given point in time. So this is the detailed way of looking at the agent activity log, what exactly did with the file, and what's the event that it executed, and what's the activity type. You'll be able to see all those. And the agent event log will give you what exactly happened with the data that actually went through. So this is my event name, and it got the event data, and it executed that event at this point in time, and what is all the details that it has done. And the activities associated to that particular data will be presented here. Okay. So if you see, this is all. So it found files copied from one location to other location, and this is how it renamed, and this is how it pushed the data from one location to other location. Okay. And the second use case that what I wanted to bring it to you is uploading a file into a specific location through the web client. I wanted to add a location, add a specific file, which is an EDI 840, and just start uploading. Okay. Once this file is uploaded, this file will be shown on the trading networks. If you say this, it's just posted the trading networks document, 810 document, and it will receive this, it's through ActiveTransfer file. So if you want to see more details on how exactly it is, so what we created was we created a processing rule within trading networks, and the processing rule within trading networks receives. So this is the EDI processing rule for MFT demo. This is the one that we created, and we uploaded an 810 document, and the action that we wanted to take is a specific document. We received it, deliver it using ActiveTransfer delivery method. So once we select that, ActiveTransfer delivery method will automatically and gets enforced and takes the data and publishes it into wherever it is. So for this demo, what we did was we wanted to take the data. This is the upload data, and this is the data that what we wanted to upload. And from trading networks is what we have seen, and this is the EDI data that what was written at 546. So the data can be from many sources. It could be from a web client, or it could be from an agent, or it could be from any other application. All you do is have a specific an event and a scheduled task or a specific activity that you want to orchestrate, and those scheduled orchestrations can be executed on MFT platform for you to get the file, have a specific type of processing that you want to perform, and send the file to a specific targeted location in a secured fashion. So that's the kind of orchestration that what we built in the existing MFT. And if you have any types of specific ports that you want to open, so what we have is we have the capability of, as you may have seen, the existing people may have seen, all the capabilities that what we have within the server management. You should be able to find the ports within the gateway machine or within the ActiveTransfer server itself. You can actually add any type of ports, any numbers in whatever way you want to. These are all the types of ports that we support, and you will be able to open these specific ports to your external partners to send the data through. Okay? And with that, I just wanted to conclude this particular demo and hand it over to Charlie, and Charlie will be able to open for questions and answers.
Great. Thanks a lot, Sundar. And we're going to go directly to Q&A. And actually, Sundar, I'm going to take a little off your plate by answering the first question since it's related to agents, and then if you have any additional commentary, please provide it. The question is, do you have to use agents to use MFT? And the questioner goes on, our third parties will not install an agent on their side. The answer is no. It's not an out-of-the-box MFT capability. It's an add-on. It's not a costly add-on, but it is an add-on, so you don't have to buy it if you don't have a use case for it. So let's move on to another one. Sundar, the ball's back in your court now, unless you have something to say about the last question. Here it is. Is the delivery via ActiveTransfer functionality, can we get that feature to execute an event as opposed to just dropping it off in a VFS location?
It can be executed as an event, yes.
All righty.
Can be executed as an event, provided if your TN delivery method can be or is selected within the pre-processing action or post-processing action. within the action tab within the processing rule. You should be able to deliver that particular document using ActiveTransfer.
Thank you. Moving along, we use MFT for internal transfer only. What are the advantages to using MFT rather than a secure distributed file system?
So you'll be having one system to monitor and also more manageability of your file data, more manageability of your data that comes in from which partner to which partner, and also grading the files, what type of files that you want to receive, and more monitoring of your files is part of the file transfer capabilities when you are actually doing internal transfers. And this also provides you one single platform to manage and monitor all your B2B, both internal and external data as well.
I should have weaved this question in or threaded it in right away, but can you describe the necessary components for an agent implementation?
The first thing first, a good operating system that is supported operating system, and then if you want to have an SPM installed on top of that operating system, those are the two prerequisites for you to start off installing an agent. And once you have those, and location, once you define that location, Command Central will be able to push an integration platform or lightweight integration platform that supports agent on top of it.
How does it work? And I'm not sure who is. It's probably just MFT, straight ahead MFT. But how does it work for the external SFTP file pulling if you schedule an event and configure it for the same configuration on the AT server? Looking how ActiveTransfer Gateway plays a role.
So agent actually can go and fetch a file from any SFTP or FTP location. To confess, we are going to support FTPS in the next version, but it can go and fetch a file, and at this point in time, it can send it to any centralized ActiveTransfer server location wherever it is, which you have seen in the demo, where you can map the location wherever you want to send the file to, and that location at this point in time should be limited to ActiveTransfer server only, meaning all the agents should be reported back to one central server. It can get the files from any FTP or SFTP location.
Okay. Here's another question I might be able to answer, but please feel free, Sundar, to chime in. So, in its entirety, is the agent architecture new in 10.3 or does it exist in 10.1? I don't remember seeing this in our 10.1 installation. Also, does it require special licensing or is it bundled with our current MFT license? So we may have answered some of that already, but let's reiterate. So you wouldn't find it in 10.1 because it came out in 10.2. So it is now in its second release, and it has been enhanced from 10.2 to 10.3. So that explains that part. But in terms of the special licensing, it is an add-on. The prerequisite is ActiveTransfer server. So if you have a current MFT license, you probably, and certainly if you have 10.1, you wouldn't find it there. But even if you bought 10.3 as a new customer for ActiveTransfer, you would have to consider whether you wanted to add on the agents. Okay. Is there an out-of-the-box solution to log ActiveTransfer errors in trading networks? We didn't see that coming.
I didn't understand the question, Charlie. Can you please?
So we've switched from ActiveTransfer to trading networks, which we did bring it up a lot, actually. Is there an out-of-the-box solution to log ActiveTransfer errors in trading networks?
Yes and no. If you want to specifically give that handshake back into take that handshake back into trading networks, you should be able to, but there is some customization that needs to be done there. But once the processing event handler is given to trading networks will be reporting all the errors that occurs within that.
Alrighty. How can we propagate a trading network's document ID or conversation ID to an AT event instance?
So to an AT event instance, at this point in time, it's the correlation ID. That's what we call it as a document ID. So you need to go the document ID with the correlate the document ID with the conversation ID, and then take those two and create a new set of fields. I mean, that's what I think if you're asking the same answer. That's how you can relate both the documents. So once the trading networks receives the document, it will associate a document ID to it. But whereas once the ActiveTransfer receives the document, it doesn't really have any clue of whatsoever to associate an ID. But if you transfer it to an agent, then it will have a specific correlation agent ID, which you have to associate them to a document ID. Then you'll be having a unified scope across ActiveTransfer and trading networks both.
Is there an event step that can perform a directory listing?
Yes, there is. There is one. And the documentation within MFT has that command. You should be able to execute that command, and you'll be able to get the directory listing.
How does it work for the external SFTP file being pulled if you schedule an event configured for the same? Did I just do this one? I'm sorry. I'm repeating myself. Forgive me, everybody. Let's move on to, it sounds like you're potentially discussing use cases where we could be using thousands of agent nodes. Are there performance limitations?
It's all about, yes, I mean, if I say no, then I'll be lying to myself. So there is definitely performance implication around it, but that's very minimal because each individual agent will be having its own footprint, and all it's reporting is some kind of data back. So there is no performance deterioration more than, I should say, 6 to 10% on top of the server when you have more than like 1,000 or 10,000 agents. So let us say, I mean, my assumption would be our labs actually did this performance analysis where we'll be publishing all this information publicly soon. 1,000 to 2,000, there will be very marginal increase in the performance deterioration on that transfer server. There need not be much as far as the technology goes.
Can you speak to the security between the connections between the agent and the IT server?
Yes, it is done through HTTPS, so it's completely secure. It's done also SSL layer. Yeah.
Okay. And the final question here, I guess I'll take as well. What's the pricing model for agents? The model is that the agents are sold in bands of number of agents, and as I mentioned before, the prerequisite to support the agenting processing is ActiveTransfer server. And with that, it's been a great pleasure to have Sundar Yelampalli present and do this demo today, a very comprehensive demo for MFT and the agents, of course. We'll be back again in November. We're going to be talking about the new acquisition, the integration acquisition. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you've seen it on our website, but we have acquired the company Built.io, and that's going to extend our cloud integration in a really significant way. The analysts are happy about that, so look forward to that on November 14th. And in the meantime, thanks very much for attending, and have a great rest of the day.